presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Well, for the first time ever here at Great American Ballpark, we actually have a very special opening day for the kiddos. I mean, we have it all going on. Mascots, bands, games. A beautiful day for it. Finale of this series and this homestand. Can the Reds make it back-to-back wins over the Pirates? And a happy kids opening day. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. The early start to this season, after moving from short to third base for Eugenio Suarez, has been very, very impressive.
Well, the guy can hit. I mean, we knew that really when he first came over here from the Detroit Tigers, Tom. He's got a nice short swing. He came into camp stronger than he did last year, and he's gotten a lot of pop. And in this ballpark, there are a lot of home runs that are going to leave the yard off of his bat this year. He's got 3 of them already. He started off very hot. He's 7 for 19, and he's a guy that fills that role of being a right-handed enforcer in the lineup, and the Reds need that.
Suarez in the lineup today, again batting in the 2 spot. And again today, the Reds are forced to make a move. Already through the first 6 games of the year, they're having to dip into their minor leagues, what with all the injuries to some of these young pitchers. So today marks a major league debut of Tim Melville.
Well, moves on this roster are going to be like the new normal, I think, this year. You got a lot of young players coming up who are going to be contributing, and you've got some players going to be moved around. Tim Melville gets a chance after pitching in AAA last year for the Detroit Tigers organization. He's a guy that is not overpowering with his fastball. He showed flashes in spring training. Has come a long way with his curveball and his changeup. He's going to need both of those pitches working today to keep the Pirates off his fastball.
His mound opponent, left-hander Jeff Locke.
We're going to see a little bit different Jeff Locke. You know, he had a curvy, turny kind of windup, almost like a left-handed Louis Tion for a long time. He went into camp this year. He and Ray Sears got together and say, hey, we're going to straighten you out, simplify you a little bit. We'll see if he's got the same stuff. But fastball, changeup are his 2 favorite pitches.
Well, you talk about straightening up. How about the Reds with runners in scoring position through the first 5 games this year? It's only 5 games, but a marked improvement over the last couple of years. It's Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Ohio is brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time.
Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Scott Dimick. If you're going to the game today or you're just watching the game, will be mostly cloudy this afternoon. Temperatures will rise through the 50s and ultimately close to 60 degrees. Can't rule out some showers approaching GABP late in the game, but overall, it's a great day for baseball. And we're much warmer today, too. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio.
And the 61 sounds balmy the way it's been this week. I'm Jim Day. You know, you can break down this game in many statistical ways, but one very important stat is how you hit with runners in scoring position. And through 5 games, so far so good. The Reds have a .387 batting average as a team with runners in scoring position. 12 for 31, a couple home runs, and 21 runs driven in. That is best in the National League so far and second best in all of baseball. Keep in mind, over the last 2 seasons, through 5 games, just a 188 average, and over the last 2 seasons overall, 230 as a team. That is second worst in the National League. 5 games does not a season make, but it's a good start and a terrific start for Jay Bruce. He's our steel power tool performer. How's he done? Well, just 5 for 5, a home run and 7 runs driven in. If Bruce keeps that pace, Reds could surprise some people this season. But the business at hand today, taking care of the Pirates. They would love a series victory. Series on the line. Tim Melville, his major league debut. Tom and Chris are next.
Eyes are bouncing around. That is a crowded area in that belly of young Mr. Tim Melville. He's waited 26+ years for this day. His major league debut. Clint Hurdle's starting lineup has Jason McCutchen and Freeze to start it. Marte, Polanco, Harrison in the middle. Jordy Mercer, Chris Stewart, his first start of the season behind the plate. And he'll be catching the left-hander Jeff Locke. Tim Melville, originally a 4th-round pick in June 2008 of the Kansas City Royals. Chris mentioned he spent last year pitching in AAA in the Detroit Tigers organization. And, well, we asked him, how about your major league debut?
You know, it's just been a moment that's been building my whole life, so it's a lot of excitement. And, you know, I'm prepared and ready, so the nerves are there for sure, but I'm very excited.
And as he should be, he's logged 141 games, 136 starts in the minor leagues. Chris, closing in on 700 minor league seasons. And here he is today. What a day for him.
Well, it is a great day for him, and not only him, but a lot of his family who came up from Alexandria, Virginia to see him. He was born in Virginia, raised in Missouri, but most of his family is down in Virginia. And I can guarantee you that they are as nervous as he is. Now, as a minor league pitcher, you think that you get guys out, you're in big league spring training, you get some big leaguers out, but until you work through this first inning, this is the biggest thing for Melville, to try to take a big breath and relax.
What do you remember most about the moments leading up to the first pitch you threw in the major leagues?
I was scared to death, and I remember the first batter I faced hit a ball that the center fielder caught up against the center field wall with his back to home plate. And I wiped my brow and I said, wow, that was the leadoff hitter. What's the number 3 and 4 hitter going to do?
Well, you hung in there, right?
I did.
All right. How many innings you get through that first game?
I got 5 innings in that game. Which I think
loss or no decision?
He'd be very happy. Well, you can't lie anymore about that. Joel Luckup is all over it.
John Jaso to lead things off, and the first major league pitch from Tim Melville is up and away, ball 1 to John Jaso, and we are underway. Reds lost a heartbreaker here Friday night, came back to win convincingly yesterday 5-1, so the series on the line today. And look at the Reds in the shift they're playing right from the very first pitch on the left-handed batting Jaso.
Doesn't seem Jaso puts the ball on the ground very much. We've seen him more uppercut the ball and put it in the air.
Melville a breaking ball that time. He's fallen behind 3-0. Jaso had 2 hits in 5 at-bats yesterday. Was on base twice on a walk and hit by a pitch. Scored a run in the series opener. And there's his first major league strike. Three-1 delivery. And it's a walk and a leadoff pass to Jaso to begin the game. Let's look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Again, Duvall, Hamilton, and Bruce in the outfield. Regular infield of Suarez, Cozart, Phillips, and Votto. And now a battery of Melville and Devin Mesoraco. And here comes Andrew McCutchen. 6 for his first 19 with a double and a run batted in. 1 of 4 yesterday, had a first inning single. He went hitless, although he scored 2 runs on Friday night.
Right now, Tim's a little nervous. He's squeezing the baseball too much. That breaking ball right there, didn't want to make a mistake to a former MVP, and he bounces it in the dirt. And I think Mesoraco senses it and just going to try to settle him down. But until you get out there and you realize, hey, you can just pitch within yourself and get these guys out, you're going to think you have to do superhuman type pitches. So Reds defense may be called on right here to roll one over and get a quick DP.
One 1-0 on Andrew McCutchen. Jaso on at first, just underway. Delighted to have you with us on this bright, sunny, yet chilly Sunday afternoon. Great crowd for a kids opening day at Great American Ballpark. It's always been the traditional opening day. Last number of years we've had the great introduction of opening night. And now for the first time ever, a kids season opener on this Sunday. And a great turnout. 2-1 on McCutchen. Melville, obviously being a 4th round pick, he was pretty highly thought of coming out of high school. And he was drafted out of high school in the 4th round of the Kansas City Royals June 2008 draft. That one nowhere near the strike zone, bouncing a couple of feet in front of the plate. And into scoring position on the wild pitch goes Jaso. Melville has never had the devastating injury. I mean, he hadn't had the Tommy John surgery, that kind of thing, but he's had a number of injuries through the years. Yeah, I beg your pardon. He did have a Tommy John surgery.
In 2012, he had Tommy John. He missed the season in 2013, but he had some small elbow problems leading up to that.
Yeah, and he had a number of other little nagging injuries along the way. That's a foul ball, because his first 2 years in the minor leagues, I mean, for a high school guy, he went right to single A, and then the single A high A the following year. Won 11 games in 2011 before that injury in 12 that slowed down his career. And now trying to get it back going in a direction it's never gone before, and it starts with pitching for the first time ever in a major league game today. Still 3-2 on McCutchen. Over that 2-year time frame, Melville only pitched in a total of 14 games. So started the year, had the Tommy John, came back at the end of the following year, and he's walked his first 2 batters as a major league pitcher. 2 on, nobody out. David Freese coming up.
At this point, it seems like the only pitch that Melville has been able to throw for a strike is that fastball. Now, that last curveball was pretty close, but still in all, most of the ones he's thrown has bounced up in the dirt. At some point, you got to tell yourself, you know what, I'm just going to locate this fastball down and away or down and in, and I'm going to take my chances right here, and hopefully the guy's going to roll over the top of it and get a ground ball.
Melville brought in on a minor league contract, invited to the Reds major league spring training camp, and now he faces Freese with 2 on and nobody out. Strike 1. Freese 6 hits in his first 21 at bats, 0 for 4 yesterday, striking out 3 times. Two on, none out. 1 ball, 1 strike on the third baseman Freese. Swing and a miss. Fastball at 93 miles per hour from Melville. Well, now Tim trying to get that first big league out. Ahead of Freese, 1 and 2, and we'll do it again. Freese, originally a San Diego Padre, actually went to the Cardinals in a trade for their longtime standout center fielder Jim Edmonds. And Freese became a standout for the Cardinals, especially in the postseason. He had one of the greatest postseasons of any player in the history of baseball. Some might argue the single greatest postseason of any player in the history of baseball. That was 2011, when he set an all-time major league record, driving in 21 runs. Was the NLCS MVP and the World Series most valuable player. One ball and 2 strikes has gone to 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because he got ahead with throwing fastballs, and he's kind of fooled around now, nibbled on the corners. And David Freese, you try to take advantage of whatever leverage you have, and now he's pretty much got to throw that fastball to get a strike in there. And he's beat Freese on a couple of fastballs in this at bat.
I know they don't give out the Gold Glove the first week of the year, but I'll tell you what, if they had a Gold Glove award for fans in the seats, this homestand has been nearly flawless. Catch after catch after catch by the Reds faithful. And there's another. 3-2 again. In the air, right field will back up Bruce, and Melville gets an out. Tagging and advancing on to third is Jaso. One away here in the inning. Starling Marte, the hero for the Pirates, of course, on Friday night when he hit the grand slam, taking a three-run Pirates deficit into a one-run lead, and that would be how they finished off the Reds in that one-run decision. So they're on the corners for Marte. That's his only home run so far in this young season. 5 hits and 19 at bats.
Guy really likes to be aggressive at the plate, goes after the first pitch a lot. Last year hit .429 and 5 home runs on the first offering that he saw. So Melville needs to be aware of just throwing him a get ahead little fastball right here.
Good fastball upstairs, and Marte chases it. Strike one. Jaso at third, McCutchen on over at first, held on by Joey Votto. And 0-1 on Starling Marte. Melville to the plate, and a check swing to get ahead 0-2.
Marte's done him a favor. I think both of those pitches up and out of the zone.
So now Mr. Melville standing tall on the mound, looking in to get the sign from Mesoraco. Runners at first and third, and the 0-2 coming to Marte, but not before throw over, and Votto picked that out of the dirt. That's a nice play by Joey over there, who of course made one of the outstanding defensive plays of the game yesterday.
He scooped a lot of them so far this year. He saved some infielders, some errors. He made a great defensive play yesterday. I think that was a turning point in the ball game.
Still a pretty decent wind, and it's expected to pick up as this day rolls along. We'll see if that has any influence on the play. Oh boy, I didn't miss by much. 1-2. Emergency swing there by Marte. Somehow, some way made contact on that breaking ball down and away from him. It's still a ball and 2 strikes.
I think he saved this ball from hitting in the dirt. Actually hit the dirt first.
There's no debate about it. Mr. Marte is up there to swing the bat. I mean, we've seen him chase 2 pitches up in the strike zone in this at bat, one that bounces down and away from him. And he's still hanging around at a ball and 2 strikes. But you can tell Melville is at least starting to feel more confident in the ability to throw in the strike zone. Got him swinging on that breaking ball. McCutchen started to break, slams on the brakes. That is a big out for Tim Melville. 2 away in the inning. Good battle there from Melville.
I'm not certain that he threw a strike over the plate in this at bat. Starling Marte does him a favor right there, pretty much chasing everything he throws up there. So now no damage done so far. Bear down here and get out of the inning, and it will be a big scare, but maybe a big 0-2.
Gregory Polanco looked so bad here on Friday night. That was in the start by Alfredo Simon. Alfredo struck him out all 3 times he faced him. He drew a walk and also had a fly ball to center, but came back yesterday with 2 hits and a walk in 3 at bats. Strike 1. This crowd for the first inning is really getting behind Melville. I think most of the people here today know this is the young man's major league debut. You go out there, you walk the first guy on 5 pitches, you walk the next guy, you throw a wild pitch. And now can he get out of the first inning unscathed? 1 ball and 1 strike. The 30th pitch of this inning coming up for Melville. Of course, I'm sure the adrenaline flowing inside of his body right now. He could throw 109 pitches in the first 2 innings and never break a sweat. Two balls, 1 strike on Polanco. 3-1. Josh Harrison would be next. He went around. That's strike 2. So now Melville a strike away and out away from a scoreless first inning in his first major league game. Tries to put away Polanco. Here comes the payoff pitch, and it's ball 4.
Boy, that ball just missed downstairs. It just kind of ran at the last second just off the edge of the plate. Really the disadvantage right now for Melville. I mean, the Pirates have seen him throw now 32 pitches, and he's not throwing a breaking ball over the plate for a strike. So if you're Josh Harrison, you're looking for a piece of cheese somewhere here early in the count, knowing that Melville has nowhere to put you.
Cincinnati native Josh Harrison, the pride of Princeton High School and the University of Cincinnati, looks at a fastball low for ball 1. Jim Day told you that last night UC played over at Marchot Field and hosted UConn. Is now Mark Riggins, the pitching coach, will come out and visit with Melville on the mound. And they gave away posters last night of Josh Harrison back from his UC days and his current Pittsburgh Pirates days, giving everybody 5 on the Bearcats bench. And for those that would brave the elements last night, and it was chilly. Josh throwing out the first pitch. Good for him.
He went all through the press box and the scoreboard operations room and everything, and greeted everybody. Saw some people that had been around since the time that he was there. Just a great ambassador for the game.
All right, the meeting over on the mound, and Melville has work to finish here in the first inning. Fly ball down the left field line and bending foul, and a good thing because that ball was hit a ton by Harrison. Precisely what you were just saying, Chris, and knowing there's nowhere to put Harrison. Melville didn't have the feel apparently yet for that breaking ball, and pretty much a safe bet there'll be a pile of fastballs in the remainder of this at bat, especially that 1-0 pitch. Took a little off there. 1-2.
Yeah, not really a snappy curveball, more of a cutter, I think, for Melville, and of an effective pitch. Had Harrison a little bit out in front.
Indescribable what must be going through the mind of Melville right now. He's walked the bases loaded in his first major league inning. Here's a breaking ball smothered by Mesoraco. A walk to Jaso, followed by a walk to McCutchen.
You know, as it stands right now, there's no guarantee that Anthony DeSclafani will make his next start. They think he probably will, but if the Reds need another start again, Melville realizes a lot of that depends on how he pitches today, whether he will be the guy who gets his name called.
Big pitch right here. The action pitch. 2-2. Ground ball to short. And how about Melville? Yes, sirree. Ooh, a deep breath. He walked him loaded, but got out of the inning without a single run. Melville walked the bases loaded, but got a ground ball forced out to short to retire the side. So a scoreless game with the Reds coming up. And Brian Price's starting lineup. Cozart, Suarez, Votto, the front trio, followed by Phillips, Mesoraco, and Bruce. Adam Duvall in left. Melville in the 8-hole. Billy Hamilton back down to 9th. After leading off in the ball game for the first time this year yesterday. Now the Reds get a look at 20-year-old New Hampshire native left-hander Jeff Flock. They've seen him plenty of times through the years.
We have seen him plenty of times through the years. He was originally an Atlanta Brave, was traded to the Pittsburgh Pirates in a deal that sent Nate McLeod back to Atlanta. Not an overpowering guy, but 90-91 on his fastball. And you're going to see, if you're a real baseball fan, you remember Jeff Flock, you're going to see a little difference in his delivery. He used to have a Louis Tion type delivery where he'd show the numbers of his jersey on his back to the pitcher, to the hitter. And they worked with him in the offseason. Then Ray Searage got him in spring training during one of their advanced mini camps and said, hey, let's get your full windup to be a little bit more like your stretch position with runners on base.
2-1 on Zach Cozart. Zach 5 hits and 12 at bats to begin the year. A pair of doubles, 1 run batted in.
The other thing that Locke is trying to do now is use more fastballs on the outer part of the plate to right-handers. He's always been a guy that likes to crowd the right-hander inside.
And he walks Cozart on 5 pitches, just like Melville did to the first batter in the top of the inning. Pirates on defense presented by Ford. Their regular outfielder Marte, McCutchen, Polanco. The only change in what now the first 6 games of the year for the Pirates. First time they've had somebody else besides their regular 8. They have Chris Stewart getting the nod for Cervelli behind the plate. Well, Cervelli had an outstanding game yesterday. Reds couldn't get him out. 3 for 3 with a walk, scored a run. I don't know if it means anything or not as Suarez looks at a ball. Chris, you would be able to answer this better than I. Very early on Friday, Stewart was out here working on his throws to second base. Spending a lot of extra time with a couple of Pirates coaches, and man, did he have a hard time throwing the ball anywhere close to the second base bag.
I saw that, Tom. I was sitting down in the Reds dugout at the time. There really wasn't anybody else around because it was cold on Friday and everybody was in the clubhouse.
Suarez finds a hole in the left field, a base hit, and here come the Redlegs. 2 on and nobody out.
So what you're implying is that if you get any kind of speed on the base paths and you know a catcher's been working on his throwing and it doesn't throw well, why not try to push the running game? Yeah, the Reds might do that, but probably not with Joey Votto coming up right here with the first 2 on base. Of course, Suarez just continues to swing a nice hot bat to start this season.
That's his 8th hit. He leads the team in that number. He was tied with Bruce, each with 7. Now 8 hits in his first 28 bats with 8 runs. That's a team high. Runs batted in. Now, Votto only had 2 hits through the first 4 games of the year before collecting a pair of hits in yesterday's win. Straight up in the air on the first pitch.
That's an infield fly, and that might be the first infield fly in the career of Joey Votto. I mean, he never pops it up in the infield.
So first and second, 1 out now for Brandon Phillips. Brandon, as many of you know, played in the season opener. He then came down with a bout of the stomach virus. He missed the next 2 games before returning here on Friday night. The very first pitch he saw, he homered to center field, wound up with 2 hits, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored, a stolen base on Friday night. Back in the lineup yesterday, 1 of 4, and also knocked in a run. Votto went after the first pitch. Phillips goes after the first pitch. Votto popped up. Phillips fouls it away. Reds trying to jump on the Pirates right from the get-go. They came up with 2 runs in each of the last 2 games in the opening inning against the Pittsburgh starter. And they're going to score again. There's a base hit into left. No, they're going to hold up Kozak on the throw by Marte, who had all his momentum going to his left. But Billy Hatcher, in his first year as a third base coach, not ever, but his first with the Reds, decides to hold up Kozak.
It looked like Marte stayed back and let that ball bounce one more time. And really, what a third base coach does is he tries to gauge where that runner is in relation to third base and how deep the ball is getting to the left fielder. Marte's got a very good arm, but I'm wondering, Tom, if just maybe some of that decision is the fact that Zach Kozar coming off a knee surgery where he missed almost the entire season last year.
Now Devin Mesoraco looking for his first RBI in this young season. 2 hits and 13 at bats. And takes off the inside edge, ball 1. Reds have him loaded with 1 away. Pulled the string on him there with an 82-mile-per-hour changeup, and aggressively Mesoraco way out in front rolls it foul.
He throws a lot of changeups, does Jeff Locke. In fact, after his fastball, he favors the change over any other kind of off-speed pitch. and even more so against right-handed hitters than against left-handers.
One ball and 2 strikes.
Now, the most changeups thrown in the National League last year, percentage-wise, Jeff Locke is right there.
Pretty good names on that list.
Yeah, there are. I mean, obviously, it's an excellent pitch. We already saw Francisco Liriano in this series. I think that list may change going into 2000 after the end of this year with Jeremy Hellickson on the pitching staff with the Philadelphia Phillies. He's a changeup specialist that threw a whole bunch of them in his start here on opening day.
Devin still hanging around at a ball and 2 strikes. Bases loaded, 1 out. And now the count even at 2-2. Of course, Mesoraco, like Cozart, has come all the way back from season-ending surgery very early on last year. Well, he'd love to get off the schneid and drive in 1, 2, if not more than that, right here and right now. Instead, it'll be a double play to end the inning, and the Reds are scoreless in the first. End of 1, no score at Great American Ballpark.
I'm Jim Day with today's storylines brought to you by Elk & Elk. 2 Red starting pitchers making their MLB debut in April. It's the 4th time in the last 100 years, including the last 2 years. To go before that back to the 1940s. In 2015, that MLB record at 110 starts by rookie pitchers. 9 rookie pitchers were used last year, and 5 started in their Major League Baseball debuts. But the Reds hope in the years to come, and even this year, to get the fruits of that labor, as they're getting some big-time experience.
Well, you're right about that, Jim Day, and we've already talked at length over the first, well, this week of the season about how very, very different by the time May comes around, this entire pitching staff and how it may change. You're hoping and praying that everything's okay with Homer Bailey. Continues his work in Arizona. He'll be going out very, very soon on his starts in the minor leagues. John Lamb, the same thing. John Moscott has already done so. He has 1 more start in the minor leagues before we might see him activated on the next road trip through Chicago and St. Louis. So those 3 guys alone. And then what is the ripple effect on the rest of this pitching staff in its entirety?
Well, we're not the only guys who have figured that out.
Sure.
I can tell you that the pitchers in that bullpen are thinking about that. And even some of the guys in the rotation here that are not sure whether they're going to be starters or even in the big leagues all year long. So they've got a little extra motivation here early in the season.
Mercer went around and that's strike 3. Second strikeout for Melville, and a much better start to this second inning than he had in the first. Number 8 hitter Chris Stewart, his first plate appearance of this season. Strike 1 from Melville. Tim obviously could use an easy inning, a quick inning, an efficient inning. Throwing over 35 pitches in the opening frame, and nothing but strikes by and large to begin this second inning.
Body language is much better. He is more aggressive, obviously. That first inning you pitch in the major leagues in your debut, it's not even like baseball. It's like you're in a time tunnel. And if you can just get through that innings, it's back to just business here. And the other good part of it for Melville is, you know, you're working now down at the bottom of the order. So if you can get through 7 and 8, you've got the pitcher to take care of with a nice clean inning.
Still not a good feel yet for that curveball.
No, but if you have a choice of hanging them or bouncing them, you want to go with the bounce.
Two on Stewart. And it's in the air, well hit to deep left field, and the Pirates have a 1-0 lead on the home run in the first at bat of the year by Chris Stewart.
After bouncing a curveball, Stewart's thinking fastball all the way, and boy, he gets one up and in. Clears his hips, gets his hands going, and that's a sweet part of the bat.
Luck not much with the bat, at least last season. Only 3 hits and 45 at bats. I asked you earlier about your major league debut, and Joe Luckham, our statistician, actually saying you went 6 innings in that major league debut. You left the game with a lead. Oh, you're still not talking to any of those relievers who gave it up behind you.
I would like to snag that win. I needed all I could get.
What was the first run? Do you recall that you gave up?
I believe the first run was a home run by Rennie Stennett.
Rennie Stennett.
It was a day game in San Francisco, and they had a packed house. It was the second game of the season, and beautiful, breezy day.
Of course, that's a great name in Pirates franchise history. Rennie Stennett, part of those great Pirate teams, the We Are Family World Championship team, I believe, in '79. I saw him play minor league baseball with the old Charleston Charlies.
Did you?
Richie Zisk and Dave Parker were in that lineup. That was some kind of team, boy. But man, they didn't hold a candle to those mashers of the old Rochester Red Wings. Don Baylor and Doug DeCensis. Wow. Oh man. That one looped into left field. That'll be a hit for Jaso. I'm not sure that Jaso ever knew where that ball was after it left the bat.
I mean, he stood in the batter's box and looked like he was just kind of searching around. And when it finally went into fair territory and he saw Reds fielders going after it. Where is it? Where is it? Up in the air still? Oh, uh-oh. There it is.
So Jaso aboard already for the second time in as many innings after the walk in the first. 1-0 Pirates, and here's Andrew McCutchen with 2 outs and a runner at first base. McCutchen walked his first time up. That ball hammered down the left field line towards the corner. Off the wall. Jaso on his way to third. They're going to hold him there. Throws into second base. And McCutchen a double. Second and third with 2 away.
Down and out over the plate about an inch or 2 above the knees, and that's where McCutchen just drops the head. But still, though, if you're Tim Melville, you're thinking, hey, there's no damage done except that solo home run. I took care of David Freese last time. You get him out here, and there's really very minimal damage done in this inning.
Freese flied out at the ball hard to Jay Bruce in the first, and there's strike 1 from Melville. Melville at AAA last season, won 7, lost 10, made 27 starts, had led the league, threw better than 150 innings, and he allowed 10 fewer hits in innings pitched on the year. He's ahead of Freese at 0-2. Now he's not a strikeout guy. Struck out 102 in those 151 innings. And his control would be an issue. He walked nearly 70 batters in each of the last 2 years. About every other inning. Nothing in 2 on David Freese. Got him swinging. And that'll retire the side. 3 hits, including a solo home run by Stewart, gives the Pirates a 1-0 lead. Anytime. T-Mobile customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.tv. Go to MLB. T-Mobile.com/MLB. Sign up now and catch every moment on America's fastest-growing LTE network. That man right there hit one a long way in the top of this inning, Chris Stewart. giving the Pirates a 1-0 lead. Reds bat in the bottom of the second inning, and it's strike one to Jay Bruce. Jay off to a very good start. 7 hits, 19 at bats, 2 home runs, and shares a team lead with Eugenio Suarez with 8 runs batted in. 0-2. Beautiful piece of hitting by Bruce. Just served into left field on an 0-2 count for a leadoff single.
You know, even if Jay Bruce just saves this swing for 2 strikes, that may be enough to begin to alter the way defenses are playing him. I mean, he's really keeping his shoulder in much better right now than he did really for the most of last year. And that's the key to his swing, period.
Adam Duvall, 2 of 10 so far this season. And that ball's hammered into right center field. And that baby is up against the wall. Bruce on his way to third. They're going to hold him there. And now Duvall runs to third. Can he get back to second? Throw there. And he is out. Oh, boy. Wow. Billy Hatcher threw up the stop sign. Bruce was going full speed ahead. He had to slam on the brakes. And obviously Duvall never picked up the runner in front of him.
Well, I don't know how you can't pick up the runner. He's watching the play out there. He's standing at second base, but he never once glanced over to third. It's always good to glance in the direction of where you're going when there's a runner ahead of you. That's a tough break.
And here's a tough break for the Reds because it's one of those games where they're batting the pitcher in the A spot and they could really use somebody else hitting right now. We'll see though. Maybe Melville comes through. Infield in for the Pirates.
How about squeezing him right here in his major league debut?
You talked about him having friends and family here. Jim Day, how about it?
He's got a bunch here, and I am with Mom Valerie. You're watching your son in his major league debut, his first at bat. What are your emotions right now, Mom?
Oh, I just don't even know how to describe it. It's just everything, everything all into one. I'm just so happy and so proud of him.
How many people do you have here today?
Oh gosh, maybe 30. It just kept getting bigger and bigger. So.
And it's mostly family, correct? I know his grandpa's down here.
Grandpa, godmother, godfather, cousins, sisters, uncles.
There's a whole cheering section up here, and they actually have the words Melville spelled out. I don't know if we can take the shot real quick, but can you show it to us?
Yeah, we've seen it a number of times today.
Oh, yeah, okay. There you go. So they are big time fired up. I asked this to a lot of moms. So long of a road to get here. All the drive into practice, etc. He's had some bumps in the road to get over as well. It all comes full circle right now, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. I mean, it's amazing how fast and how long it is at the same time. So coming here, being part of Cincinnati. We have cousins that live here. Our 83-year-old cousin's up there watching the game. She's been asking all week, when are you coming to Cincinnati? Didn't want to tell her. I didn't know. She knew something we didn't know.
Well, getting to know your son during spring training and knowing a little bit about his background, he is a terrific young man, and you should be very, very proud of the son that you have raised.
Oh, thank you so much. I know we just met one of the pectus patients is here today. He's going to have a surgery in June, so his mom and he came out for the game. So those are the special things about Tim.
There's very many special things about Tim and Tom. Hopefully, if time allows, we'll get into those as the game goes on.
Love to. Love to. Well, that base running mistake's a big mistake right now unless Billy Hamilton can find a way to drive in that run from third with 2 outs in the inning. Reds would have had second and third and nobody out with a pitcher coming up. But after the out at second base, it's runner at third, 1 out. They strike out Melville. 1-1 on Hamilton. 1-2 on Hamilton.
Hamilton is the one guy in this Reds lineup that has really done well in the past against Jeff Locke. 6 hits, 14 at bats. That's a .429 average. Billy, of course, prefers hitting right-handed anyway.
Two and two on Billy Hamilton. The runner at third is a tying run. And a chopper down to third. Freeze gloves. Inning over. Reds for the second straight inning miss a shot. 1-0 Pirates, end of 2. Purchase your tickets to the next Super Saturday at the ballpark. That'll be the 23rd of this month, thanks to John Morrell. The first 25,000 actually this time. Fans that come through the gates receive a Votomatic Super bobblehead. And you can see the Reds and the Cubs for as low as $12. How are you going to beat that? And maybe the bobblehead thrown in if you're here early. 381 REDS or visit Reds.com. So the Reds had them loaded with 1 out in the first inning. They had the double play ball from Mesoraco. And after a smash double up against a right field wall, Duvall overruns the bag. Cost the Reds an out, perhaps a run. So a couple of missed chances. But only 2 innings in the books, and the Pirates with a 1-0 lead over Tim Melville in his major league debut. Oh, and 2 to Marte. He was a big out for Melville in the first inning. Struck him out with 2 on and 1 out.
And in that at bat against Marte, he did not throw one pitch really over the plate that would have been a called strike. Now he's jumped ahead by coming right after him 0-2. Melville's got kind of an old-fashioned delivery. You don't see all that many pitchers nowadays take their glove and take it up over their heads. A lot of times coaches will tell you don't do that because sometimes the hitter can kind of see your wrist position or your hand position, but he hides it pretty well.
Base hit by Marte to start the Pittsburgh third. Pirates have left 5 runners on base in the first 2 innings. 3 walks in the first issued by Melville. The Pirates had 3 hits, including the home run by Stewart in the second. And a leadoff single by Marte brings Polanco to the plate. Marte very much a base stealing threat. He has 1 already on the year. Marte last season stole 30 successfully in 40 attempts.
Well, he's got that base stealing glove on you see down there. I never did find out if Major League Baseball's made those to size. You know, there are regulations in the rule book that say how big your glove can be. That thing looks like it gives you at least an inch or 2 extra when you reach for the bag.
Polanco brings it with him. Melville will get there. Glove flip to Votto in time to get the speedy right fielder. Nice play by Tim. 1 out.
At first the reaction was it looked like that ball was bouncing farther than it really turned out and was going to get by Melville coming off the mound. What Polanco ran down the line watching Melville make the play instead of kind of keeping his head straight ahead and busting it as fast as he could. Kind of a weird way to run.
So though not scored a sacrifice, in essence it serves the same. Well, they will give him the benefit of the doubt of a sacrifice. And that is the correct scoring decision according to the rules of Major League Baseball, even if it looked like the guy was clearly bunting for a hit. The batter gets the benefit of the doubt there, so a sacrifice for Polanco brings Harrison up. Harrison bounced out to a fielder's choice at the shortstop Cozart, leaving the bases loaded, ending the first inning. Ground ball again. Harrison hooks to the shortstop Cozart. Throw right on the money for the second out, and Marte stays put. Mercer coming up. We remind you, coming up a little bit later on, as we always do, we'll have our Miller time moment, brought to you by Miller Lite. See if maybe Jeff Piccoro at the end of this game can't flag down a winning pitcher in his major league debut in Tim Melville. Marte has about a 40-foot lead out there at second base, but zeroed in on the batter is Melville. That's not an exaggeration.
Well, he's got no infielders really there to kind of jockey him back. And really, for Melville, I don't blame him for not even paying any attention to Marte. I mean, the guy at the plate is the guy that stands between you and getting back into the dugout.
72nd pitch of the afternoon, just a third inning coming up for Melville. And a scoreless first, allowed the home run to Stewart in the second. Runner at second, 2 outs here in the third. Marte takes off and they'll let him go. Pitch in the dirt. Marte his second steal in as many attempts this year. Talked about the wind, and we heard it was going to pick up throughout the day. It is really blowing now. Those Flags have had a very hard workout through this season opening homestand, because I mean the wind seemingly every day this week has had gusts of up to 25-35 miles per hour.
Yeah, the difference today though is that wind is coming out of the south, bringing some warm weather with it. A little warmer this week here in Natty.
That's good news for people who are going to be here. Because you won't.
No, we'll be in Chicago. It'll still be a little frigid. Game time temperatures, I think, tomorrow for opening night with the Cubs are in the low 40s. Same on, well, there's an off day on Tuesday. Not supposed to rain, I don't believe, until the last day.
It's supposed to be sunny every day.
Yeah, but be a little frigid. That's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. 2-2 on Mercy. And that's strike 3 called. Fastball at 93 to end the inning. 5 strikeouts for Melville. A scoreless third. Reds have a top of the order coming up, down a run. Is right around the corner, and I know there are a lot of you out there that love to think about improving your game. Well, tune into the Golf Zone. PGA pro Jimmy Hanlon has terrific tips to improve your golf game. Talks about this weekend's Masters. Golf Zone with Jimmy Hanlon tonight at 8 on Fox Sports Ohio. No, you've been tuned in to the Masters all weekend, Mr. Welsh. Final round today.
Really interesting tournament so far.
Broken bat roller on the first pitch to Cozart, who walked on 5 pitches his first time up. 1 pitch, 1 out for Locke.
Well,
1-0 Pirates leading.
And so far so good for Jeff Locke. He made a little adjustment in spring training. They had him come down to one of the early camps the Pirates put together, work with Ray Searage about just trying to refine his delivery. We have a shot of him last year. That's on the left here. This is 2015. And you can see when he really gets going, gets his leg up, look how far he turns. And that's a big difference. They said, you know, you're getting your head off target. You're keeping your eye off the glove. Why don't you just simplify things a little bit? And I think coaches all over in every sport are trying to do that with all their athletes anyway. Ray Searage did it here, and he hopes for better results from Locke here in 2016.
You know, the other part is off the field for Locke, which some of the Pirate people have been talking about. You know, he was very, very close with A.J. Burnett. Veteran pitcher, spent the last number of years with the Pirates. Actually was here a couple of years and left for a year, came back last year. Charlie Morton had been a teammate of Locke's all the way through his career. Suarez just continues to knock the cover off the ball. Blasts that one right by the third baseman. Freeze. 2 for 2 for Eugenio.
Just got a solid swing. I mean, he's staying back. He's seeing it big right now. He's not overstriding. I mean, he goes to the plate confident he's going to lay out a line drive somewhere.
Well, you know, to finish the thought, the Pirates want to see Locke kind of become, if you will, his own man. I mean, he really kind of hung around regularly with A.J. Burnett or Charlie Morton. Neither one of them are around. Burnett's retired, and we just saw Morton with the Philadelphia Phillies. And this should be a double play to end the inning. Well, having a hard time getting it out was Harris, and they still turn it. Votto has swung at the first pitch each of his first 2 times up. A pop-up and a double play. End of 3, 1-0 Pirates.
Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day, still up here with the Tim Melville contingent. Let's follow up on something that his mom was talking about. When Tim was young, he had what was called a sunken chest, and it was a very serious situation. In fact, it affected his breathing. It was so bad that they had to have surgery to repair it, and for a year and a half, he had a steel rod placed in his chest to get his chest pushed out, if you will. Tim says it was a very tough time in his life, and from then on out, when he sees a child that's in the hospital for a year dealing with anything, it breaks his heart, and he really tries to reach out to those kids. And a perfect example is sitting right beside me. His name is Carson. Carson is set to have the same surgery in June at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Tim reached out to this family and actually FaceTimed with Carson and talked about the surgery and tried to get over the fears of the surgery, and then went a step further and basically provided the family with tickets here today. So Carson, Tim Melville's got to be a good friend of yours now. How do you feel about a big leaguer reaching out to you?
It's cool.
Got to be very, very cool. And I know Mom Tracy is over here. She's very, very touched by Tim Melville. Now, he talked you through. You're ready for this, right? You're ready to get over this hurdle?
I guess.
Well, Carson's one of many youngsters that Tim Melville has reached out to, guys, and if you get to know Tim Melville going forward here, you'll know that he off the field, he is as good as it comes. And how about that, reaching out to a family that he doesn't even know and trying to get Carson through a very, very tough time.
Well, that is a special young man indeed, Tim Melville. In fact, you know, I think illustrating for a guy who never pitched at the major league level for the Kansas City Royals organization, as Locke executes a bunt and lays it down perfectly, advancing the runner. In 2011, and he only pitched at single-A ball Wilmington that year, but Tim Melville, recognized by the Royals organization as the Mike Sweeney Award winner, which best represents the Kansas City Royals organization on and off the field. Good for him.
Really great young man. He's the kind of young man that when you meet him and talk to him, he looks you right in the eye. And guy's very happy to be here. And he appreciates the opportunity the Reds have been able to give him. I mean, this is probably a huge surprise for him. Prior to this year, he had only been in 2 major league spring trainings. And one of the first guys always cut to set back down the minor leagues. You just never know where you're going to find gold. For Melville, that's probably the way he sees it right now from his perspective.
Sure. Well, he has work to do here after the leadoff single by Stewart. Back to the top of the order. It's the 3rd go round now in this game for this Pirate lineup. And we're only in the 4th inning. Jaso has drawn a walk and then singled a little flare down the left field line his last time up. Lights have been turned on here at Great American Ballpark. Dark clouds rolling in. Reds have action in their bullpen for the first time today. In fact, we've not seen him yet pitch in a game in this young year, and that is right-hander Dan Straley.
I think he's been kept back a couple of times, Tom, because he's right now the long man down there, and Brian Price wants to make sure you have a pitcher or 2 that can give you multiple innings, maybe deep innings, in case the starter gets knocked out early.
Pull to the right side. Brandon to make sure on one knee, and that's a 2nd out. Advancing on to 3rd is Stewart. 1 more out to go to get through 4 innings for Melville. There's not been an easy breathing inning for Melville, obviously, and this is major league debut. He walked the bases loaded in the 1st inning. Allowed a home run with 1 out in the 2nd. And in that same inning with 2 outs, served up back-to-back singles to Jaso and a double by McCutchen, but got out of the inning without any more damage. Then in the 3rd, he allowed a leadoff single, a bunt, a ground out, and with a runner at 3rd, he struck out Mercer to end that inning. And now a runner at 3rd with 2 outs in the 4th. Pirates have had a runner at 3rd base each of the first 4 innings. 1-1 to McCutchen. That whole Melville clan down there rooting for that final out in this 4th inning against McCutchen. Up and in. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, Melville, born in Virginia, raised in Wentzville, Missouri. And you know who the famous guy from Wentzville, Missouri is? Chuck Berry, the old rock and roll.
Wow, that's big league there.
In fact, Wentzville, Missouri is a subject of a song by George Thorogood and the Destroyers in the Bad to the Bone album. Back to Wentzville.
Wow. Breaking out your rock and roll trivia here today. Very nice.
Well, way back to the LP days.
In the air, foul ground out of play. Of course, you were commenting today, and it really was a very interesting comment at the time. Every Sunday here at the ballpark, a couple hours before the game, whether there's batting practice or not, the folks in the scoreboard play exclusively Beatles music every Sunday here at Great American Ballpark, and the Reds happen to be taking batting practice today. You looked at me and you said, I wonder how many of these guys on this team have ever heard of the Beatles. It's a good question.
Well, they got an hour and a half of it today.
Yeah, great. 2-2 on McCutchen. Full count. This will be the 90th pitch for Melville. Runner at 3rd, 2 out. Payoff pitch coming. And he walked him. It's the first walk since walking him loaded in the 1st inning, so 4 overall. And now you begin anew with David Freese, and Before that at bat takes place, here comes Mark Riggins for the 3rd time in the first 4 innings. Follow the Reds live with MLB.com at bat. That's an app you got to check out. You can stay up to the moment on everything going on. MLB.com at bat on your phone or tablet. Stewart, the runner at 3rd for the Pirates. McCutchen on over at 1st, and here's Freese, who's fried to right and struck out. Breaking ball in there, a strike. Phillips will handle the one hopper. And Melville again wiggles off the hook. The Pirates have left 8 runners on base. And the Melville clan, including Carson, high-fiving Jim Day down there. Good stuff. We wish Carson well. The Surf Rider Foundation, in celebration of this month's Every Day is Earth Day initiative. Making simple changes in our lives, we can make a big impact on our environment. Go to foxsportsupports.com and learn more and how you can be part of the solution. Tim Melville goes the front 4 innings, and he's still officially in this game despite being at the 90-plus pitch mark. But my, has he been a survivor here today. Giving up 5 hits, 4 walks. Pirates have left 8, and it's only a 1-0 Pittsburgh lead. See if the Reds can finally break through after 2 big chances in the first 2 innings against Jeff Locke. Reds had him loaded against Locke in the first inning, and Locke got Mesoraco on a double play ball. That's a fair ball, and Phillips thrown out by the catcher Stewart. And then Duvall, after a double off the right center field wall, overran the second base bag. The Reds would have had second and third, nobody out. They wound up with a runner at third, the pitcher coming up and 1 out, and did not score. So here's Devin. Freese throws him out, and Locke not even breaking a sweat in this inning to get the first 2 outs.
Yeah, these last 2 innings for Locke, he's just been kind of firing it up there. Got the double play to end the inning. He's given up some hard hit balls. That ball was hit well by Mesoraco. The shot by Suarez last inning. But he's pretty much keeping it on the ground. A 6-pitch 3rd inning.
Two down, nobody on for Jay Bruce. He took an 0-2 pitch for a single and now drives this one to center field. It'll stay in the yard. A 5-pitch inning for Jeff Locke. Friday night at the ballpark means a big bang with fireworks. Our next one is the 22nd of April. Reds and the Cubbies, and you can be here for as low as $12. And right after the game, stick around for the fireworks spectacular. Thanks to Thomas More College. 513-381-REDS, a number to dial. Well, the major league debut of Tim Melville is over. 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 walks, 3 in the first inning. Fan 5 allowed 1 earned run, and now making his major league debut, his Reds major league debut. Acquired very late in the spring, Dan Straley.
I think the Reds were very surprised to see Dan Straley available. He was made available by the Padres. He had started the season, or at least the spring training season, with the Houston Astros, and then it was traded to the Padres in exchange for catcher Eric Kratz. Padres had then eventually put him on waivers or put him out there and made available, and that's when the Reds jumped on him. He's been in the big leagues a few years, pitched for Oakland primarily as a starter but also as a reliever. Now 27 years of age.
Because of when he was claimed, he did not pitch at all for the Reds in the exhibition season, the preseason.
Yeah, the Reds have pitchers down on the farm that not all of them are young prospects on their way up. Other guys are trying to keep their major league careers alive. Straley is one of them. The other that the Reds picked up is Steve Delabar, and he's a right-hander that has pitched with a lot of different ball clubs.
Former All-Star,
including the Florence Freedom, and rejuvenated his career. And he became an all-star with the Blue Jays.
Two and two on Starling Marte to begin the Pirates' 5th. Buccos 1, Reds nothing, and there's a fly ball in a short right center. Jay Bruce tracking, and that's out number 1. Three teams at 4-1 atop the National League Central Division. These two, along with the Cubs, who beat Zach Greinke yesterday. Greinke with his new team after signing that contract for over $200 million was lit up in his Diamondbacks debut. In fact, he gave up more runs in his first game of the year than he allowed the first month and a half of last season. Then yesterday gave up 4 runs in 6 innings in a loss to the Cubs. And St. Greinke is 0-2 to start his Diamondbacks career. So the Cubs at 4-1 with 1 more to go in Arizona later today. To finish that thought about Greinke losing 2 games, he lost 3 all of last year. 19-3 with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I know that they're concerned in Arizona, but I don't think that they're worried. I mean, a guy like Greinke just doesn't lose it overnight. They've had such a huge makeover down there that I'm not sure what I haven't seen either of his first 2 starts, but I imagine at the end of the year Greinke will be one of the top 10 pitchers in the league, no doubt.
Three and 2 to count on Polanco. There's ball 4. Well, some other MLB news and notes on this Sunday afternoon. Madison Bumgarner hit a home run. He has a couple of them now against Clayton Kershaw, but Kershaw ultimately got the best of the Giants. And how about the Padres? Shut out the first 3 games of the year, and now in back-to-back games in Denver, 29 runs. Here, meanwhile, we are just in the top of the 5th inning. Pirates with a 1-0 lead, and now the batter Harrison 0 for 2. Pair of ground balls to Kozart. It was a wild journey for Straley there that last week of spring training. Chris, you mentioned it. You know, he began the spring with the Astros, then on the 28th of the month. So, I mean, you're a handful of days away from opening day. And the Astros turn him loose, sending him in a trade to San Diego. So the Astros have spring training in Kissimmee, Florida. You get traded, he jumps on a plane. He flies all the way to Arizona with the San Diego Padres. But everybody had left Arizona with the major league team by the time he got there. Then all of a sudden the Reds claim him off waivers shortly thereafter. He's got to get on a plane and fly all the way to Indianapolis, where he showed up last Saturday to throw in a little bullpen session for the Reds to get a look at him up close and personal. And then he drove back to Cincinnati because he didn't pitch in a game that day in Indy.
That's a wild and woolly ride right there. You know, he's kind of used to that, though, because even as a college player, he went through something of the same type of trek. He was born in Eugene, Oregon.
When it goes, Mesoraco's throw not nearly in time. That was stolen on the pitcher Straley.
And he wanted to play college baseball, D1 baseball, so he went to Western Oregon, and he wasn't going to get a chance to play. And so he was playing summer ball with some players that were at Marshall University in West Virginia. And they said, well, you know, you may be able to fit on our team. So He left Western Oregon, flew across the country to come to West Virginia, and that's how he ended up at Marshall. And that's out of Marshall that he was drafted. He had never been east of Idaho before.
Foul tipped into the mid of Mesoraco, and that's strike 3 on Harrison. First strikeout for Straley. 2 away in the inning. Marshall, I believe, is in the town of Huntington, West Virginia. It's a pretty area down there.
Nice little changeup right there. For, you know, his bread and butter is that fastball and slider, but when you've got that pitch that goes down and in.
One more out to go now. And here's Jordy Mercy, who struck out swinging and struck out looking. Both of those at bats against the starter Melville. Reds have Duvall, the pitcher's spot, and then Billy Hamilton due up in the last of the 5th inning, hoping to come to the dugout. Still down just 1-0. Polanco at second. Good fastball that rides up and in to get ahead 0-2.
This could be one of those little get to know you meetings right here. You know, Mesoraco's not sure what Straley wants to go to. Straley's a veteran major leaguer, so you go out there and you give him a chance to tell you what his philosophy is this time right now. You get 0-2, you certainly don't want to make a mistake. But the Pirates add another one on the board.
Straley doing a little gardening around that pitching rubber, and now the 0-2. Breaking ball moves away from the right-handed batting Mercer. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Polanco, 1-out walk. Picks up his first steal of the year in 2 attempts. He's in scoring position. Oh, I didn't miss by much.
How do you not swing at that one?
Straley trying to make a pitch here and leave Polanco at second, and he hits Mercer on the left side. You know, you wonder here if you consider intentionally walking, and I know Stewart's a number 8 hitter. Now some might say not a chance. I'd rather have that pitcher leading off the next inning. But Stewart has hit the ball very hard twice. Now both of those, granted, were against Melville. But with 2 away and 2 on, they're going to come after Stewart. Ball 1. In fact, you turn back the clock to yesterday. Cervelli reaching in all 4 plate appearances. Now 2 straight for his replacement Stewart today. Now you've fallen behind Stewart at 2-0. Two on, 2 out. And he takes a fastball right down the middle, a called strike.
That's how I certainly think if you had a base open, you'd walk him, but I don't know about walking a runner into third base. There are so many more ways a runner can score from third than from second. Could be something as simple as a wild pitch gets a guy in.
Good breaking ball there. 2-2 pitch. Fouled out of play. Well, the Pirates have had runners on base every time you look up. Stranded 3 in the first, put on 3 base runners, stranding 2 in the second, left a runner in the third, left 2 more in the fourth. They have 2 on here in the fifth. Pirates 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position today, and make it 0 for 10. Straley taking care of Stewart to end the inning. So a scoreless debut for Dan Straley. Reds still down. Sports Ohio brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News Best Children's Hospitals in America. We always send out a special hello to those watching at Cincinnati Children's. Had the big Celestial Ball downtown last night where they honored Cincinnati Children's and the Cincinnati Reds, specifically the Reds Community Fund, and everything the Reds organization as a partner with Cincinnati Children's is doing in and around Reds country. Reds represented quite well there last night. Bob and Susie Castellini, Phil and Brett Castellini, Bob Jr., Tricia Headley, Walt Jocketty, Dick Williams and his wife Heather, Brian Price there, Devin Mesoraco and his wife Kira. And the one Red who probably does more and is more involved than any other player the last number of years over at Cincinnati Children's is without question J.J. Hoover. Him and his wife Megan Kate. And here's another extra base hit down the line for Duvall. He has his second double of the game, and he's going to drop anchor at second this time.
Well, Adam getting in that lineup today because if there is a platoon, and it's not a straight platoon in left field, but he's going to get the playing time against a left-hander. Hit his first double against the right field wall. This one right inside the bag at third. He hits it hard.
So now Straley. And he bunts it foul. You know, while we're at it, not only a big tip of the cap to Cincinnati Children's and to the Reds, but also to all the folks who are on the staff out there at the Duke Convention Center. I've been to 2 events there in the last month, the Hardball and then the Celestial Ball, where they had over 1,400 people at each event. And man, the folks that are in there, the waiters and waitresses, all the staff in that place, they do an awesome job. You're never waiting around for anything. They are all over. Straley's got to find a way to get this bunt down. He doesn't have many at bats, but
well, remember his big league time was with Oakland. How about that?
How about that is right. Well done, young man. Very well done.
I'm really surprised that Jeff Locke, a veteran pitcher like that, you get an opposing pitcher 0-2 and you throw him a ball that's a strike. I mean, at that point, wouldn't you think that you'd expand the strike zone, make him chase something up around the eyes? I just don't really, I don't get that at all. I mean, you have that batter exactly where you want him, and you throw the next pitch right in there like, well, go ahead and lay it down.
All right, now Billy with a chance to tie this game up. Infield in, runner at third, one out. And Hamilton down a strike. He grounded out to the third baseman, David Freese, his first time up. Now the Pirates have the infield in. Hamilton trying to get this thing deep enough in the air or shoot one through the infield. By hook or by crook, get him in from third. A ball and a strike. Reds left 2-1 in the first, 1 on in the second inning. Duvall is only their second base runner over the last 3 frames against Locke. Billy not sure about that pitch. Joe West, a home plate umpire, calling it strike 2. This is not going to bring the run in. 2 outs. If a Red hits a home run off that Toyota sign in deep right center today, Ashley Mitchell from Connersville, Indiana, wins that Tundra. And you can register for your chance to win. Just stop by your Cincinnati and or Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Infield backs up, 2 away in the inning. Runner at third, Duvall, and here's Kozak, 0 for 1. Pirates lead 1-0 at the end of 5. Continues tomorrow from the Windy City. We're at Wrigley Field. That'll be the Cubs home opener tomorrow night. First of 3 straight night games for the Reds in Chicago. April in the OHIO presented by Meyer. Cubbies 97 wins a season ago. Beat these Pirates in the 1-game wild card. Beat the Cardinals in the division series. Lost to the Mets in the LCS. Of course, they've added Hayward and Lackey and Zobrist. Unfortunately, the young man who grew up just outside of Cincinnati up in Middletown, Kyle Schwarber, their regular left fielder, already with an injury, and he's out for the year with a knee injury. Collided with center fielder Dexter Fowler the other night in Arizona. Certainly our prayers to him and his recovery. That's a long road back after an ACL. I mean, a lot of guys do it, but it's still a lot of very hard work.
Well, at his age, it ought to heal fine and no problem down the road. His game is not speed anyway, but still, you hate to see a young, talented player like that get sidelined for a year. And you know, we've seen it. We've seen Zach Cozart most recently here on the Reds.
Sure.
You know, the hardest thing, I think, talking to these guys that have been out for a long time is watching their teammates play and they're on the sidelines unable to do anything because they've never been used to that before.
Yeah, Homer Bailey talked a lot about that as well during spring training this year. Here's Jaso. Straley in his 2nd inning of work had a 1-out walk to Polanco in the 5th inning. Hit a batter with 2 outs, but struck out Stewart, stranding 2. The Pirates in the first 5 innings of this game have left a whopping 10 runners on base. 3-2-1-2-2 per inning so far. Stung to center, but Hamilton will get there. He can go get him out in center field.
And he can right the ship halfway, too. It looked like he turned one way, took a few steps back, decided to turn another way, and in the process took his eyes off the baseball. He wasn't sure where this ball was going to slice or hook on it. You know, the kind of defense that Billy Hamilton plays, I mean, will warrant a long leash at the plate. Because there are only a few center fielders in all of baseball that can cover the kind of ground that Billy Hamilton can.
Big swing, violent swing by McCutchen, trying to do major damage on that 1-0 pitch. Been on base all 3 times, walk, double, walk. Reds will have Suarez, Votto, Phillips in the 6th. Locke has only allowed 2 base runners over the last 3 innings. He got a key out in that 5th after a double by Duvall and a sacrifice from Straley, getting Hamilton on a pop fly in the infield. Another huge swing by McCutchen. This is playable, and the inning is over. A perfect 6th for Straley. Reds down 1-0.
Purchase your tickets to the next Super Saturday at the ballpark. It's April 23rd. Thanks to John Morrell, the first 25,000 fans receive a Vino-Matic Super Bobblehead. For tickets to see your Redlegs take on the Cubs for as low as $12, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com today. I'm Jim Day. Let's give you another update on Anthony DeSclafani this morning. Manager Brian Price says he doubts that he can see DeSclafani making a start on the 15th. They're avoiding him further injuring that oblique injury. In fact, they're going to shut him down until Wednesday. He'll throw a bullpen session Wednesday in Chicago. So for the foreseeable future, Brian Price says he likes what Tim Melville brings to the plate, or brings to the ballpark, and he said he almost made the club out of spring training and the bullpen. So for the foreseeable future, Melville will be in the rotation.
All right, Jim Day, thank you very much. Of course, DeSclafani is still occupying a spot on the 25-man roster, and by the time he realistically would be able to pitch in a game, best case scenario, you almost would have chewed up the entire 15 days on the DL.
I think he came out of the spring training on the DL.
You're exactly right. I beg your pardon. They made that move right before the spring.
Yeah.
That's right. Swinging a foul ball out of play. They made the move which we suspected they would, by the way. And Jim, I know you talked about it in the pregame show, but Brandon Allen was the one who was sent back out when they activated Melville to officially make this start today. So DeSclafani, it's too bad for him so far. Well, the Reds would love to have him back in that rotation right now. There's no two ways about it. Having said that, the guys that at least they've given the ball to, Robert Stevenson for one game, 5 innings, got a win. And Melville today threw over 90 pitches in 4 innings, but he only allowed 1 run. This ball is mashed by Suarez. Home run number 4 in a tie game. Boy, is he hitting the ball. Wow. It's our Volkswagen drive of the game. Suarez 4 home runs, a team best 9 runs batted in. He has 10 hits in his first 22 at bats so far this year.
Locked in, but also causing a lot of damage. I mean, his streak right now is not one of those where he's having balls fall in or hit the first base bag and go for a double. I mean, it sounds like somebody stacking timber when he comes to the plate.
You're not lying. Votto swinging at the first pitch in this at bat, has swung at the first pitch in each of his 3 plate appearances today against Locke. You rarely ever see Votto do that. Popped to short in the first inning, bounced into a double play in the third, and behind 1 and 2 here with none out in a tie game. Harrison from the outfield grass for the first out. Scott would be the guy that would be considered the closest to returning of potential starting rotation pitchers right now. Started on Thursday, beginning his rehabilitation assignment, Class AA Daytona. Went 3 2/3, allowed 5 hits, no run. Threw a bullpen here yesterday and is tentatively scheduled for another rehab start Tuesday night in Columbus for Louisville. Brandon a fly ball to right. 2 away.
Well, when Moscow went down to Pensacola to pitch in Double-A time, he joined a couple of other pretty good pitchers down there. Nick Travioso's off to a great start. I think he went 5 or 6 shutout innings in his first outing. Amir Garrett had a very nice start in Double-A. First time he's been moved up at that level. They've got some coming up.
Here's Mesoraco 0 for 2. Twice hitting ground balls to the third baseman. One time a double play. Yeah, Cody Reed was supposed to make his season debut over the last couple of days with Louisville. They've been snowed out the last 2 days.
Yeah, they had a doubleheader scheduled today because they were snowed out yesterday. And that's what I say when I mentioned that those bullpens and dugouts are a lot colder at AAA and Double-A and Single-A than they are in the major leagues. That's a good example there. Although nowadays these AAA stadiums, the only difference between big league and AAA stadiums are the number of seats that they have.
Right.
Every other amenity is beautiful.
Yeah, the third deck. And by the way, those games are not in Louisville. I mean, many of you down in Louisville are aware of that. Those games have been snowed out in Toledo, where they have had brutal weather up there. And just outside of Toledo, about an hour up the road in Detroit, Michigan. It's where these Pirates are going tonight. It's always a good idea to schedule a night game on a Sunday in Detroit, Michigan in April. Tigers are supposed to play tonight. It's a good idea.
Do I detect just a slight amount of sarcasm?
Come on, seriously. You know, look. You are thankful in a lot of our cities in this part of the country, but especially places like Minneapolis, outdoors now, Detroit, Chicago, to get any game in the month of April, day or night, just to get it in. Why flirt around with a night game on a Sunday night in Detroit, the first Sunday of the year? It's ball 4 to Mesoraco. Jay Bruce, a batter, is single to left and flied out to center. Breaking ball gets away, and that's going to move the go-ahead run into scoring position. Be a wild pitch on Locke. It's only the second walk given up by Locke, and the other was the very first batter of the game. Now Ray Searage going to come out. Pirates pitching coach. IGS bringing the energy numbers. The Reds have been so good through this first week with runners in scoring position. In fact, best in the National League. Searage in his 6th full year with the Pirates. Joined the Major League staff in 2009, interim pitching coach in 10. And at the end of that season has been the full-time pitching coach ever since. Breaking ball inside. 2-0. Speaking of runners in scoring position, nobody better than that. 5 out of 5 with 7 knocked in. He'd love to make it 6 of 6 with 8 right here. Mesoraco, the go-ahead run at second. 2-0 to Jay Bruce. 2-0 changeup. It's a good pitch. Larkin thrown just 22 pitches combined over the prior 23 innings. He's already thrown 24 in the 6th. The last time Bruce had a base hit against Locke in that 2nd inning at bat, it was on a 2-strike pitch.
And he just went with the pitch and laid it out there into left field.
Try the knee buckling breaking ball there. It stays up and in. Full count on Bruce. It's a big pitch right here. Duvall already a pair of doubles against Locke in the game. He's on deck. Hooked into right. Inning over. But Suarez finally breaks through with a home run to right center. And a 1-1 game at the end of 6.
And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, Reds fans, if you can't watch the games on TV, guess what? You can now stream Reds games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store and download the free Fox Sports Go app. You log in and stream the Reds wherever you go. One game. Straley beginning his 3rd inning of work on the mound. 2 scoreless frames behind Melville, who made his major league debut, going 4 innings, allowing 5 hits and a run. Freeze to be followed by Marte and Polanco. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
You got to be impressed with the way that Dan Straley has come out and be able to command his pitches, having had a long time off, really thrown a couple of bullpens. But you get in that groove. We talked about everyday players who end up sitting the bench when the real season comes around, but they play every day in spring training. They get into a nice easy groove. Same thing goes for pitchers. And he's just flipping that breaking ball up there, commanding the fastball. Not trying to overdo it. In for his third inning.
Suarez will back up. He's got a very strong arm. Accurate throw there. And that's the way we start the 7th inning in this 1-1 game.
Big birthday day today, Tom. My daughter Erin celebrating birthday number 29 here on this Sunday.
Very nice. Happy birthday, Erin.
Have a safe flight back to Panama. Ooh. And I'm not talking about Florida.
No, I know you're not.
Okay.
The real Panama. Well, the weather must be really bad in Chicago, at least today. They've already called off the Indians and the White Sox. Orioles are leading the Rays 4-3 in the 5th. Orioles the only remaining unbeaten team in Major League Baseball. Swing and a miss by Marte. What are you saying out of Straley that you like so far here in this his 3rd inning?
Well, he mixes it up. It doesn't look like he overthrows. He knows his limitations. He knows what pitches. You know, he just wants to get hitters out.
In time to throw from Suarez to get Marte, who's busting it up the line, and he can run.
It wasn't too long ago that Straley led the entire minor leagues in strikeouts in 1 year. I think it was 2012 for him that he did that, if I'm not mistaken. Could have been earlier, but I mean, it goes to show you that one time he was a very strong arm pitcher. A young man that has battled with his weight for a long time. In college, he ballooned up over 250 pounds. Realized that wasn't very healthy. And he's listed now right around 220. That's the kind of stuff I like right there. First pitch breaking ball. You know, you get a very aggressive hitter normally like Gregory Polanco, loves to hit the fastball. Flip it up there. You may buy yourself a strike.
And you come back with a fastball up and away from him. He chases after it, and that'll even the count of ball and a strike.
It's really all about changing speeds because hitters see something, and if you see the same thing over and over again, eventually they just get locked in. That's why you see something slow, something fast, something faster, something slower.
Foul ball. 2-2 on Polanco, who has walked twice and put down a sacrifice bunt. 1 run, 7 hits for the Reds. 1 run, 5 hits for the Pirates. Pittsburgh is stranded 10. Reds have left 5. Straley trying to retire the final 7. He walked a batter and hit a batter his first inning in the 5th. But that's it. 3-2 on Polanco. Straley due up second in the 7th inning, so this is it for him. Trying to get through 3 really, really good innings out of the Reds bullpen today. Votto got it. Excellent play by the Reds first baseman, and Straley 3 shutout innings out of the bullpen. And as we do every Sunday, we're going to keep it right here in the middle of the 7th for the singing of God Bless America.
And at this time, we ask that you please stand, kindly remove your caps, and face the American flag. Major League Baseball, the Reds and the Pirates salute the men and women of our armed forces, as well as those who serve to protect in our local police and fire departments. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service, and welcome 15-year-old Anna Grace as she leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, through the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Reds game right on Fox Sports Ohio. Please stick around for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. We'll break it all down coming up right after the game with Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro, and Chris Welsh. Been missing Brian Riesenslaw last couple of days. He's been off finishing up the season of the Columbus Blue Jackets. It'll be good to have him back.
Sure will be.
Neftali Feliz takes over on the mound for the Pirates, former American League Rookie of the Year.
Funny how things can change in a career very quickly. Neftali Feliz is only 27 years old, but he's now all of a sudden regarded as a reclamation project. Picked up by the Detroit Tigers last year. They took a flyer on him. It really went bad in Detroit. His earned run average ballooned over 7. But he signed a one-year deal here with the Pirates over the winter, and they hope that Ray Searage can work some of his magic that he's done so many times before with pitchers just like Feliz.
And really their last two closers you would say that about. Jason Grilli, a guy that bounced around, was on the verge of quitting, comes to the Pirates. They take a flyer on him and gets under Searage and turns into an all-star. And then Mark Melancon who had pitched well in Houston, but then went to Boston and then, really struggled. They bring him into Pittsburgh, and he saved over 50 games last year, replacing Greeley. Pop up by Duvall. A little confusion there. A wind blowing that back towards the infield, and Harrison having to make the play 1 out. What a job turned in by Dan Straley today. His Reds debut, 3 innings of no-hit shutout baseball. Struck out 3, walked a batter, hit a batter. So these 2 pitchers, Melville making his major league debut, Straley trying to build his career back up again, combined for 7 innings of 5-hit, 1-run baseball. Scott Schebler batting for Straley. This is a rubber game of this 3-game series. Reds were right there on Friday night at a 3-run lead before the grand slam by Marte. Pirates won it by a run. And the Reds in total command and control yesterday behind Iglesias, Wood, Cotham, and Hoover in a 5-1 victory. Two out.
At one time, Phillies was one of the harder throwers around. He averaged over 96 miles per hour on his fastball. Then he was sidelined with Tommy John surgery, missed the entire 2013 season. And he still throws hard, but not like he did prior to. Oftentimes you see pitchers after that surgery come back throwing harder than ever. Hasn't happened here with Neftali Feliz. Although 92 is still something you want to get out of the way of.
One and 0 to Billy Hamilton.
That's the pitch right there. I think until you get 2 strikes on you, Billy Hamilton needs to shrink the strike zone. Anything at the top end of the zone is really his enemy, because all he's really going to do is hit it in the air, and that's what you do not want Billy to do.
This will be a 1-2-3 inning for Feliz. We move on to the 8th. Pirates and the Reds tied at 1. The game summary. Reds had the bases loaded in the first inning with only 1 out. Locke got the double play ball to get out of trouble. Then in the next inning, after a leadoff single by Bruce, Duvall a drive off the wall in right center, but Duvall rounded second too far and was caught on a throw by the catcher. Reds had a runner at third with 1 out. In the 5th, Billy Hamilton popped up. Bozart grounded out to end that inning. When they finally broke through against Locke, and again, Eugenio Suarez doing the damage. A solo home run to tie the game at 1, and that's where we stand as we move on to the 8th inning. Tim Melville, his major league debut, 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 walks, 1 run. Straley, 3 innings, no hits, no runs, and now Jumbo Diaz takes over on the hill.
I think this game has taken a turn, Tom, that a lot of people didn't expect at the very onset. Figuring a couple of guys late in the rotation, one making his major league debut, that this was a game that you'd see a lot of offense. So far, we've seen only 2 runs come in, and Jumbo's got the bottom of the order ahead of him here in the 8th.
Here's Josh Harrison. Foul out of play. Harrison, nothing of 3. Pair of ground balls to the shortstop, both in big situations. Left the bases loaded in the 1st. Had a ground out with runners in scoring position in the 3rd. A runner. Struck out with a runner in scoring position in the 5th. Your thoughts the early part of the season on Jumbo Diaz?
He's throwing the ball well. Did not have all that good of a spring training, but he's at the point in his career now, having shown what he can do in the major leagues, didn't even make the team. You know, they only have one left-hander in the bullpen. That's Tony Cingrani. And talking to Mark Riggins a little bit about that situation, it's a dangerous situation to have for Cingrani because you have a tendency to overuse that lefty, you know, if you only have one of them. But they feel that when Jumbo gets his control of that splitter, that is a pitch that he can retire left-handers as easily as right-handers with. Kind of acts like a lefty slider. That's the way it is, and that time it goes for a base hit.
Leadoff man aboard in this 1-1 game in the 8th, and here comes Mercer. You have Stewart next, and in the pitcher spot. Suarez 2 steps in on the grass over at 3rd. We'll see if they ask Morris Mercer to bunt it. Trying to find out if he'd show his hand, which he does not on the throw over to 1st. Harrison, not a big-time base-stealing threat. He's a threat, but not like Polanco or Marte up and down this Pirate lineup. Harrison had just 10 steals a year ago, 18 in 2015, or 14 rather. Votto will play it. Fair ball. That would have been a foul ball, but Joey not going to play the role of umpire in case that thing comes back and takes the out.
I mean, they're giving you it out anyway, and that's the attitude you've got to take. You've got to field it. If they're going to call it foul, it's foul. If he fields it in fair territory, then you're getting exactly what you figured you would, which is a runner on second and one out in the inning.
Suarez looking the runner back. Good throw to Votto. That takes care of Stewart. 2 away, and now Matt Joyce will be brought up from the Pirate bench to bat for Phillies. Well, they thought Joyce was going to be a really good player after coming to the big leagues in Tampa Bay. Came up in 2009 and gave him some good time through 2014 and moved over to the Angels last year. Signed as a minor league free agent near the end of February this year. One game, runner at second base, 2 outs. We're in the top of the 8th inning. I would imagine, without even looking down there, would be Tony Watson, ready to pitch in the 8th inning for the Pirates. All-star left-hander, among the very best, and there he is. Two and one to Joyce. That looked like a pretty good pitch right there. A slider by Diaz, just a little bit low, I guess.
Yeah, back-to-back off-speed pitches for Jumbo that were really good-looking pitches.
Joe West may have missed that one. 3-1. Ball 4. We only saw Tony Cingrani in this series for 2 batters. It was in the 7th inning on Friday night. He walked a batter, struck out a batter.
Well, as I mentioned early during the first game of this series, you know, the Pirates are no longer nearly as left-handed as they used to be. If this were the Pirate team of last year, you probably would have seen Tony Cingrani in all 3 of these games. Pedro Alvarez, left-handed hitter, gone. Neil Walker, gone.
Well, you have the left-handed batting Jay So here. In a 1-1 game, runners at first and second, 2 away. Base hit into left field. They're going to wave around the runner. Here comes the throw to the plate. And the runner is out.
The Pirates bench did not like that call, and they are immediately running back to take a look at the video. Trent Hurdle's out in front of the dugout, and he is waiting to see what the verdict is from underneath, whether they're going to ask for a review. Meanwhile, excellent throw by Adam Duvall.
Did his foot ever get to the plate? That right foot looked like it was in the air by the time Mesoraco put the tag on him. But we'll see. You know, the other question is, was he blocking the plate before he had the ball?
Yeah, that may be one of the things they're asking, too. I can guarantee you back in New York, they're already taking a look at this ball.
No, he's not blocking the plate there. The runner has plenty of room to get that hand to the inside part of the plate. There's no way they're going to call that blocking the plate. But you know what? I said yesterday I wasn't going to do it again. Forget what I just said. I have no idea what they're going to do. But there clearly was a path, Chris, at least from that angle, that Harrison had to find the plate.
Agreed.
So they're going to take a look at it. What a huge play made by Duvall if it stands from left field. Now, once Mesoraco has possession of the ball, he has every right in the world to block that plate. And he had the ball, it looked like, in his mitt before Harrison arrived. Right there.
I think you're right about his foot popping up. Now, did it pop up because it hit in front of the plate, or did it pop up as it hit the plate first? This may give us the best angle of all. Ooh.
It's a great question, Chris.
It's tight.
Because it's right on that line, right on the edge of the plate.
You know, the interesting thing is, if you want to get real technical about where he touched the plate, the black edging that goes around home plate is officially not part of the plate. You know, you always hear about umpires calling the black or pitchers throwing that pitch on the black. That's only an edging. That's not part of the plate. The plate is 17 inches, the white part across. And that may have something to do with whether he actually touched the plate or not.
The human mind, it's so interesting. You look at the exact same thing on the screen, and every Pirate player is down there throwing their hands in the air saying, you got to be kidding. Why are we even debating this? He's safe. About 28,000 in here today are looking at the same video and saying he's out.
I'll tell you one thing, though. They're getting a good look at it because the scoreboard operators are doing a great job. And the scoreboard video boards here at Great American Ballpark, man, they are nice and clear. Just wonderful.
Here we go. Joe West out is a call. All right, Reds will bat in the bottom of the 8th inning in a 1-1 game. begins today. T-Mobile customers can get a free season-long subscription to MLB.tv Premium. Just go to T-Mobile.com/MLB and check it out. The Pirates were challenging whether Devin Mesoraco was blocking the plate.
Well, I imagine from the angle that they had in the Pirate dugout, it certainly appeared that way. But when you see the overhead, you see plenty of white area for Josh Harrison to slide into. So good job by Mesoraco to stay within the guidelines, and a great throw by Adam Duvall.
Tony Watson making his 337th appearance in a Pirates uniform. And he has been a mighty good one pretty much from the get-go.
Hard to believe it's his 6th year in the major leagues, and cumulative, he's got a 2.4 earned run average in all those games that you mentioned.
You go back to the All-Star break in 2013, and he has virtually been unhittable. A 1.5 ERA is the lowest among all major league pitchers. Having said all that, Watson did not pitch well in the spring. Now, guy, it's in his 6th year. Do you worry about it? Of course you don't worry about it. He's pitched in 2 games, both in the 7th inning so far this year, which is very much out of the norm in his career. All but 10 of his 77 appearances last year came in the 8th inning. But Cozart starts off with a single, and here's the hottest guy on the planet, Suarez.
And they throw to first to see if Suarez has been asked to bunt, and he squared around. So they can always take that off.
And David Freese, a third baseman, is like, you're kidding me. The way this guy's hitting. 4 home runs already in his first 6 games. Suarez, the first Reds player with 4 home runs in the team's first 6 games since Adam Dunn in 04. No sign of a bunt this time. Reds had a situation the other night. We were very surprised they did not bunt when they had first and second base and Jordan Pacheco at the plate. They let him swing away at a deep fly ball to center, which advanced a runner. And on the first pitch in this at bat, Suarez was bunting. But not anymore. 1-2. Suarez perfect today. 2 real sharp singles by the third baseman Freese in the left field. Then the home run to right center to tie the game, and that's where we are in the 8th. Two and 2 on Suarez. Suarez has seen Watson 4 times. He's 0 for 4 and has struck out twice. Well, pop fly in a shallow center, and McCutchen there. So now to be Votto, who has seen Watson a ton. Joey 5 out of 17 against Watson. A double, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Joey 0 for 3 today. And this is a double play. Second one Votto's hit into today. 1-1 we go to the 9th. Brought to you by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, go places. 2 weeks from today, April the 24th, come on down to the ballpark. Make it your family destination. Take advantage with our Family Sunday ticket offer. Enjoy live mascot races. We have face painters here, games, a lot more going on. And on that day, all kids 14 and younger receive a Reds super themed fathead. Those things are sweet. 381-REDS or visit reds.com for tickets. Taking over on the mound is veteran right-hander Ross Ohlendorf. In this 1-1 game, we begin the 9th inning.
Well, we've seen Ohlendorf already 3 times this year. He picked up the win with a 1/3 of an inning outing. The first time he stepped on the mound for the Reds. Veteran pitcher's been around with the Yankees. He's pitched several years with the Pittsburgh Pirates, San Diego, Washington, Texas, and now Cincinnati.
Well, the other night in that 8th inning, he came on, you may remember, and he retired the first 2 batters in the inning. With the Reds leading by 3 runs. And Ohlendorf, as we talked about, that long windup, that old school windup, throws his hands back behind him, left leg kicks back, pretty far stride. Glove still holding the ball when he does this. There you see the ball is still in the mitt. So he did that to retire the first 2 batters, and he got ahead of Jaso 2 strikes. And then all of a sudden, he worked out of the stretch almost quick pitching Jaso. Well, he hit him with that pitch. He then walked the next batter, allowed a single to the next batter. And that, of course, was when the Reds made the pitching change and Marte hit a grand slam. High, towering fly ball, playable in left for Duvall. And McCutchen retired.
Boy, see, he's had a couple of skyscrapers here today.
So here comes Freeze, 0 for 4 in the game. Fly to right, struck out, bounced to second, grounded to third. Pirates had 5 hits in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th innings combined. They have managed 1 hit since. 2 hits since. Both coming in the last inning against Diaz. Two and one on Freeze. Hit hard and off the top of the glove of Bruce. He's going to try and hold the runner to a single, and he does. That's well played by Bruce, just beyond his reach, but able to stay with it. And that's a long, loud single by Freeze.
That's a really good recovery by Jay. He thought he had this ball. The wind knocking this ball down and kept it really from hitting off the fence on a fly.
It's exactly the way Larry Walker used to play it all the time, not off his glove and then off the wall, but his feet were always ready to throw the ball into second when he would catch that ball off the wall. Boy, what a great player he was. Often injured, but when he was healthy, what an incredibly gifted athlete. He could have been one of the all-time greats without all the injuries. Canadian-born Larry Walker. 1-1 on Marte. Jam shot. This is a hit. It's bad luck right there for Ollendorf. And now the Pirates have 2 on with 1 out.
Now he comes right in there with a fastball. Marte just really gets jammed right here. The bat explodes in his hand, but he's strong enough to get it into the outfield. Now with one of the 2 left-handers in the lineup due up. I don't believe the Reds have the only lefty they have in the bullpen up and ready to go. So it'll be Ollendorf all the way here this inning.
And the numbers on Polanco hitting left-handers versus right-handers are just ridiculous. I mean, he has had a miserable go of it against left-handed pitching. Two on, 1 out. 1-1 game in the 9th. And there's strike 1 on the outside corner.
Try to put the numbers to that, Tom. Against left-handers, this is just last year. Against left-handers, 190. Against right-handers, 274.
Good fastball there at 95 underneath his hands to get ahead 0-2.
Well placed.
Oh-2 delivery. Came back with another fastball that beats him, but Polanco able to foul it off to the seats off to the third base side. Beautiful block there by Mesoraco. What an important play that could turn out to be. With just 1 out, if that one gets away from him, the Pirates have the go-ahead run at third with 1 out. It's a good play by Devin.
Well, it's probably where Ollendorf wanted it, at least down in the dirt. Setting up maybe another inside fastball right here off the plate under his elbows.
1-2 pitch. Yep, they went back in there, and it's in the air to right center field. Hamilton calling off Bruce, and the runner will not dare try and tag. Hamilton, an excellent arm. 2 outs. One more out to go for Ross Ollendorf to try and send his team to the dugout with a chance to win it in the last of the 9th inning. Here's Harrison. Ball 1. This is a rubber game of this series. Pirates won the opener Friday night. Reds took game 2 5-1. We're tied at 1 in the 9th inning today. And that ball is smashed. Is it foul? Yes. Good thing.
Second foul ball home run he's hit today.
Yep. Reds trying to set a tone on this season opening homestand. that they're not buying what so many of the so-called experts are saying about this not being a competitive team. I mean, what a lift it would be to get 5 out of 6 to start this year.
Well, if you're counting by series, I mean, you win the first 2 series at home of the year, especially knowing what the schedule is here the first part of April.
And early May, for that matter.
Yeah.
It's a killer schedule. Reds will see the Cubs 2 series, these Pirates, the Cardinals, the Giants, the Mets. Now you're talking about all legitimate World Series contending teams, or at least they believe they are. Two-two to Harrison. 2 on and 2 out. Time is called, I believe, by Mesoraco. Two and 2. Straight up in the air. Votto will squeeze it tightly, and the Reds will bat in the bottom of the 9th with a chance to win it. Brandon to start it. Mesoraco to follow. And then Jay Bruce, a 1-1 game. Action 30 minutes before every game. Everything you need to know on Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. And tomorrow night we come your way a little bit later because of the 1-hour time difference in the Central Time Zone. Reds Live gets underway at 7:30 on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights. Finnegan v. Lester. That's a Cubs home opener tomorrow night. Off day Tuesday. Simon v. Lackey in his first year with the Cubs. And then Iglesias v. Hamill on Thursday night. Archimedes Caminero taking over on the mound here in the bottom of the 9th of a 1-1 game. Strike 1 to Brandon Phillips, who's 1 for 3.
Caminero had a couple of cups of coffee with the Miami Marlins 2013 and 14. Then last February of 15, traded over here with the Pirates. And the Pirates really feel like they've got something here in him. A very hard thrower. Always had a hard time figuring out where it was going. But when you average up around 98 with the heater.
That one 99.
The hitters, they'd like to know that you know where it's going.
Phillips had an RBI single against this right-hander yesterday. That run was charged to Garrett Cole. Boy, this is a powerfully built young man in Caminero. When he cuts it loose, there is some serious heat. Sinking liner, right center field. It'll fall in. So Phillips for the second straight day, a base hit off Caminero. And the Reds have the winning run aboard here in the bottom of the ninth to start it.
Goes back to what I said earlier about if you give big league hitters a chance to see the same speed over and over again, eventually they're going to adjust. And Phillips very quick to the ball there with a line drive base hit.
Now Brandon already has a stolen base this season, and I think he stunned all of us, maybe even himself for that matter, with the way he ran the bases last year.
Well, the Pirates are not believing that Mesoraco is going to bunt. David Freese playing a few steps behind the bag at third.
Phillips 23 stolen bases a year ago, only thrown out 3 times.
And that's almost mandatory by the Pirates. A lot of teams do that now. You get a runner on base, there could be a bunt situation, and the pitcher throws over to first, and to find out if that bunter squares around. Try to ferret out his intentions.
Phillips, the 2 years prior, well, really throw in 3 years prior, had 22 stolen bases combined in 12, 13, and 14 before he had 23 a year ago. Of course, he had 3 seasons where he was a 20-20 player, 20 or more steals, 20 or more home runs in the same year. Now Mesoraco had a chance in the first inning to do major damage. Bases loaded, 1 out. He bounced into a double play. Devin still looking for his first extra base hit and his first run batted in 2016. In fact, it's been a long time if you stop and think about it, because of Mesoraco last year only getting 45 at bats. He had 2 extra base hits and 2 RBIs. Well, you got to believe the gas is coming here on 2-0, and Mesoraco should be ready to hit it. And he pops it up. 99 gas for the first out of the inning.
That was a situation where if Josh Harrison really felt like it, he could have let that ball drop right in front of his feet, throw the second base, completely legal, get Phillips off the base paths, and then make Mesoraco be the runner. And maybe force Brian Price to the bench for a pinch runner. And the reason I say that is because last year, in the games in which Caminero pitched, he gave up 9 stolen bases. They did not throw out 1 runner.
Oftentimes teams get locked down into, a strategy which I just simply have never understood. It doesn't mean I'm right and they're wrong, or that they're right and I'm wrong. But they believe it's sacrilegious to be running in front of some guy that's allegedly some big slugger. I mean, this is the bottom of the 9th inning.
Yeah.
You get a leadoff hit to Brandon Phillips, and he's still anchored over there at first base. And now here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You can pretty much bet the ranch that they're not going to run 2-0. Because they don't want to distract the hitter, we've heard from time to time. Or as soon as you say that, they'll start him, he'll hit a gap shot, and we're talking about a 2-1 win.
I like it.
And maybe with one out, maybe they will. Nope. 2 balls and a strike. Well, if you're going to do it, now would be the time to do it. Bruce 1 of 5 in his career against Caminero. The one hit a home run. And Brandon's still not running. 2-2. Jay Bruce waiting on a 2-2 pitch. We'll do it again. I am really surprised Phillips has not been running in this inning. Really, really surprised. You just mentioned the numbers last year against Caminero. And I'm not suggesting that it's all Brandon's decision. 1 out, 2-2, the count on Bruce.
And if we saw what was true the other day with Chris Stewart out practicing throwing to second base, I mean, having, as you said, Tom, a real difficult time. He did.
Two and two to Bruce, winning run at first base with 1 out in the 9th. And it's down the right field line, and here we go. Phillips on his way to third.
Come on.
They're going to wave him around.
Come on.
Reds win. Reds win. Reds win. The Reds have started this season 5-1. They beat the Pirates 2 in a row. Our Miller time moment.
What a way to cap off Kids opening day with a walk-off win. Jay Bruce lacing that double down the right field line. Brandon Phillips scores all the way from first base. And just like that, everybody in this ballpark to their feet, waiting for something good to happen, and here it is.
Crowd chanting Bruce. Bruce and Suarez knocking in the 2 runs for the Reds today. Both of them, Chris, have combined to drive in 18 runs this year. Let's go downstairs to Jeff Pecoro.
Well, thank you very much, Tom, here with Jay Bruce and Jay Boyd. It doesn't get much more. I will. It doesn't get much more exciting than that, does it?
It's awesome, man. What a great series win. The pitchers did great. I'm still tired, so it was awesome.
You know, you get up against this young man. You faced him. You got a home run against him before. Here comes Billy. So we'll wait just a minute because here comes Billy. Oh, and here comes Yvonne. Luckily, I didn't get any. And, of course, this is getaway day, so you're going to have to get a new set of shoes. I saw your locker. In all seriousness, you see this kid, he comes in, he's throwing 100 miles an hour. You've had pretty good success against him in your few at-bats against him.
Yeah, you know, he does have a great fastball. Right there, I was just thinking small. That's what I told myself, just think small. Don't need a homer, just hit something hard, and it worked out.
To finish this homestand and to start the season at 5-1, boy, that's amazing, considering what the pundits said about you guys, right?
We don't care about the pundits. Yep. We really don't. We could not care less, to be honest with you. We got to play ball. People can say what they want. You can be projected to win so many games or whatever. We're playing good baseball right now, and we're good with that.
One final question. You're off to Chicago now for the start of the road trip here. 5-1 going into Chicago, leading the Central. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
It does. It does. We just have to. We can't pay attention to that. We can't pay attention to the good. We can't pay attention to the bad. We just have to, you know, stay really, really focused and just, you know, getting the best out of ourselves that we can and playing Reds baseball.
Good luck on the road trip. Jay Bruce, there you go, Tom. Boy, he comes up big, and the Reds walk off, and they're 5-1.
What an unbelievable homestand. Unbelievable. I mean, once isn't good enough, is it? Oh, no. Couple of times. The Reds are 5-1, and they're off to Chicago. Reds Live coming up next.